Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are breaking down our top five picks for the best level 2 wizard spells and one
Mhm.
worst pick.
Yes.
All right, you've seen this twice before. We've done cantrips, we've done level 1. Now we're going to tackle level 2. Um, so, you ready to get into it? Anything you want to say about level 2 spells in general? It's like you're a little bit excited to get out of the level 1 and cantrip tier, but it's not the the huge shift that level 3 is.
Yeah, it's really a little bit odd to me the how spells feel like they kind of scale. So like
Mm,
first level spells are obviously like compared to nothing, enormous compared to cantrips. First level spells do so many more things. Then you get second, you're like, yeah, these are marginally better. They're not like, especially on the damage front, none of these are like, yeah, I think I'd care about casting that over just an upcast first level spell. And then you hit third and it like doubles all your damage and you start flying around and you get haste and all the kinds of cracky or crazy wild wacky nonsense. So like there's a pretty like steep gap between there, but there are some that are way better than their level. So we'll get into those in a second.
yeah, let's see how many we agree with on this one.
Mm.
I feel like there's not going to be as big an overlap as last time, but let's find out.
Last,
What?
yeah, we didn't think that last time either, but I do have
Yeah.
some like out of left field ones that I didn't think I would include until I read them all, and I was like, I guess this one has to make the list because there just aren't that many good level 2 spells.
All right. What's your first pick?
All right, my
And
number one.
again, you've ranked these in order.
Mhm.
Mine are just top five in any particular within not in any particular order.
I am
All right.
positive this is on yours as well. Invisibility.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
this is, I think, hands down the best second level spell in the game. Um, And that's like comparing against like Summon Beast and stuff too. Like there's really powerful things that are comparable to this that aren't even in the wizard class. But in the wizard class, invisibility is cracked. This is a spell that does things no other spell can. It opens up whole avenues of play that are otherwise entirely left vacant to you. Just the nature of being invisible in a role playing game in a fantasy story, right? Like if you think about like even just like Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, J.K. Rowling and like the lore around it, it's a hyper rare item that is like egregiously powerful, and only like very few people can stumble across such this powerful, rare magic thing. And then you just get that at their level. You can just do all of the things that invisibility comes with. And it makes the entire game like you have to consider it for the rest of time. And there are not a lot of other second level spells that is the case. It is the only one that's like, oh my god, everything has to change now. All of my first level spells, all the rogue features, all the ranger features, all of the monk features, anything that has like a relevance to stealth is now immediately compared and asked, how does it work with invisibility? And that makes it really good to me.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's thought about what they would do if they were invisible. So I don't need to sell you on this. Yeah, everything you said, plus everything you, the viewer, have already imagined doing. That's what you get.
Yeah, if you get to pick any spell that's second level for wizards, you should pick invisibility. Like it, I would say it has a home on 100% of wizard character sheets. I think it is that good of a spell.
Sure. All right, moving on.
All right, I gave you mine, and I stole one of yours, so give me your next one.
All right, let's see. I picked hold person.
Hold
Did I?
person's my number two.
Oh, okay. All right, maybe we
Yeah,
will have some overlap here.
we didn't think that was gonna be the case at the first level either, but I guess whenever there's just a parent, it's a parent.
Actually,
Yeah,
I
hold
think I
person's
know another
cracked,
one you're gonna have too.
probably.
But yeah, hold person. Yeah, if it works, then that guy's dead.
Yeah. Turns out paralysis is one of the best conditions in the game because it gives you auto crits. And whenever you start auto critting something with a great sword, you're gonna have a good day. So they're like in a game that's built around humanoids, like the players are all humanoids, right? That a lot of the time the villains tend to be humanoids as well. So this can like have some nice scalings as you get into the upper tiers where it's like, well, I don't need to hold monster because I just have hold person and I can just use this flexibly. Now there will be like some games where maybe you're not going and killing other humanoids. Maybe that your table is just like, yeah, we're killing slime monsters and giant angry owlbears and stuff. Maybe you're just like deep in the astral plane fighting for survival in some weird setting. But like 95% of settings I think are going to be hold person friendly and it's going to get you a lot of juice throughout the duration of it. And like the best part is, like, if they fail to save, the damage they're taking doesn't give them new ones. They still just have to sit there and take it until they can make the next wisdom save. So like if this lasts for a round, you've probably like killed the thing. So it's real good.
Yeah, totally agree. What else you got?
Next on my list is suggestion.
Okay, I did not have that one.
Suggestion didn't make the cut for you. Wild.
Well, yeah, I probably should have, but yeah, I wanted to put at least one damage spell on there. So,
I have a
yeah,
damage spell on mine too.
oh, do you? All right,
Yeah.
we'll get there.
We'll get there when we get there. But as far as like spells that do things that no other spell really does, at least for its level, I think suggestion is pretty baller. Much like invisibility, this opens up doors that are otherwise just going to be closed to you. Much like even like charms and stuff can't force action. There isn't necessarily an amount of consistency there. So like if you are doing like a charm person thing, or maybe you're just laying on really thick with charisma checks, those aren't necessarily going to give you the raw you go do this that suggesting can. At some tables, your DM will say yes to everything, and every course of activity will be considered rational, and suggestion will be utterly cracked because you can just be like, I want you to kill your friend, and they'll go, sounds great, I hated him anyway. Alternatively, there'll be tables where like, oh, I like the example of this band of gnolls. It is never rational for them to back away. It is never rational for them to retreat. The only rational thing is to eat you. So you have to figure out a way to give them a suggestion that involves war and violence and murder and laughter that they are okay doing in place of murdering you, and it becomes a lot more complex. And I think that makes it really fun personally. I really like when suggestion is hard to use and you asks you to be like, okay, really engage with the world, really engage with the monsters, with the lore, with the personalities, with the role-playing traits. Like I think that's where it's at its best. But like even anywhere in between those two, suggestion is going to be amazing. It's a spell that you'll frequently find uses for. It might not be like an every session kind of spell, but whenever it does come up, holy cow, will it matter?
I think that's another reason I didn't take suggestion. I didn't put suggestion on the list is because charm person exists, and say what you will, maybe suggestion is better or differently usable, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like a top fiver when that alternative existed. Because charm person's level 1, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely will say like charm person, if your DM is a real hard ass about it being rational, you're definitely right. The charm person might just be good enough that you're like, I don't think I need this. I think I can just convince them to do the rational thing. That might be the case. I definitely think that that's not how most tables are going to handle it, though. I think you're still going to be able to get some pretty wacky things to happen with suggestion that even a charm wouldn't be able to necessarily do.
Yeah. And the other thing, like, we haven't discussed suggestion yet. I don't think we did mass suggestion,
yeah.
but yeah, it was if if the request sounds reasonable to the target, then you could probably get them to do it anyway.
Maybe.
Maybe,
I think
yeah.
we'll get into it whenever we get into like specifically suggestion, but I think there are going to definitely be cases where like let's say you're out on the town, right, having some beers with the guys, and someone comes in and suggests, why don't you buy a round for everybody? You might say, well, that's not unreasonable. We're all having a good time, but there's still going to be a level of convincing that needs to happen. There's still going to be a level of charming that needs to happen. Now, you can even elevate this to, well, why don't you go drive home? Why don't you go, indulge on some, bratwursts or whatever? And you might be like, well, I'm not specifically hungry, but it doesn't sound unreasonable. And that's where you're going to get into the territory where you start getting further and further away from a thing that you'd expect to happen. I think that you're like ready to do, and instead move into territory of, I hadn't considered this. This doesn't seem unreasonable, though. Like, this is something that I'm fine doing. It's a reasonable course of action. It's just not what I intend to do. And that's where I think suggestions like, yeah, but I want you to intend to do it. I want you to do it right now.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it ekes it up a little bit.
All right. Is it my turn?
Yep.
Oh, let's see what else I've got. Next one I've got is web.
That's not on mine.
Not on yours.
Really?
You don't like web? We haven't discussed this one either, but this is one of my.
I haven't even written
favorites
on this one yet.
Yeah.
I think I've read web like 3 times in my entire life. Give me a half of a second. You conjure a mass of thick, sticky webbing. Okay, I understand why you like it.
That's... All right, yeah. That's definitely on there, but no, that's not why I put it on this list.
Why'd you put it on this list then, Bob?
Well, it's a big area of effect. Trap creatures, block passages or whatever, and it's like a poor man's fireball. You can get creatures trapped in there and then set them on fire. That's fun.
I think to call this a poor man's fireball is wildly disingenuous. It's 2d4 fire damage. Let's not get crazy with it, but it's a nice little upside.
Very poor man.
I'd call Flaming Sphere a poor man's fireball. This is like, I don't know. It doesn't really.
Flaming Sphere sounds like the Walmart version of Fireball.
Yeah, not Web. Web does not sound like the Walmart brand.
No,
Fireball.
I'm just saying, like the name Fireball. You've got Fireball, but they have to call it something different. That means the same thing. Flaming Sphere.
Yeah, it's we got flame Fireball at home, and it's Flaming Sphere. Yeah, exactly that generic brand stuff.
Right.
I will say, like, giant area effect restraint. It seems decent. There's I think a problem with why this didn't make my list is the restrained condition just isn't that good. And when I say isn't that good, like, it doesn't deny actions or anything. A creature that's restrained just can't spend its movement, but it can otherwise do things. So, like, it still can make attack rolls, it still can cast spells, it can still talk, it can still do all the things that you don't necessarily want it to do. There's penalties for them, right? Like, they'll attack with disadvantage, that's nifty. But, like, it hitting a giant area is meaningful upside. It's a perfectly castable spell, I think. I just don't think it's, like, top 5 worthy. I think you need to not just try and outright kill something and want the restraint condition. These things have to be big. These things have to be, like, you really need to want to pepper them for a few extra rounds to justify this, I think. And those encounters do happen. Those fights are real. I just don't think it's like gets on every single wizard's character sheet and comfortably happy. You know?
Yeah, you've been playing and DMing for a long time. You said you've read the spell description like 3 times. Does that mean your players don't typically choose this one?
Nope. I don't think I've ever had a character at my table choose to take Web. I just don't think
I've always loved it. In every edition I've played, I've always taken Web.
Always, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know. Maybe that's just like a boomer generational difference thing. Maybe it's just the old school D&D guys are like, yeah, Web is sick. Remember when we did that in AD&D and we like stuck the spider to the wall? Wasn't that so fucking funny? And the new kids are like, it's just a spider web. What? This is stupid. I don't know. Maybe I think it's nifty. I just don't I don't ever see myself taking the spell. Just because it's a fine restrained condition. It's a fine control effect. It's a little bit worse than Entangle probably, and Entangle's a first level spell. Yeah.
All right. Well, what's next on your list?
Next down for me is one that is new. It is Rhymes Binding Ice. This is my damage spell that made.
Do not have that.
Yeah, this is from the Fizzman's Treasury of Dragons. It is a baby cone of cold, basically. So you make a 30-foot cone. Everything makes a con save. On a fail, it takes 3d8 damage, or is half of that on a success. And their speed is reduced to 0 for a minute, which is really good.
For a minute, that is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unless this creature spends an action to break away the ice. So this, if you compare it to Web, is a damaging version of it, because everything is going to get hit by the area. They still need to spend actions to break free. Now, granted, with Web, they're not guaranteed to break free. They can spend an action and waste the action. Nothing happens. They just flounder around there. But with Ryan's Binding Ice, instead of having that the ability for them to like make checks and fail it down the road, you can just root them all in place, eat their action, and do 3d8 damage. And while this isn't like revolutionary, I don't think this is a second level spell slot like this. It would have been this or Scorching Ray for me. I think Ryan's Binding Ice takes it up just because it does enough of the conditional restrained things. It eats enough actions while also putting out damage that I don't necessarily need this to be my damage spell. Don't necessarily need this to be my area control spell, but it can be both. And if you ever were just like, I really want to take like all these other things that I've listed, the suggestions, the hold persons, the invisibilities, right? A lot of the spells that aren't necessarily built and clued in for combat. A second level option you can take alongside them is Rhymes Binding Ice and get a lot of utility and value out of it being a very suitable effect for a second level spell on both fronts. And I think that's good.
All right. I think you're messing with me.
I know.
Wow.
So continue.
Oh, no. You know what?
That you think that this isn't a thing that I would like? We've had this conversation before.
Yeah, we had it last time with the level 1 spells. After you gave me so much shit for what was it? Ray of Frost.
Ray of Frost is garbage, though. There's a difference.
Ray of Frost is the cantrip version of this.
This is a 30-foot 3d8 damage cone. A 30-foot cone, for reference, is more than double a Burning Hand size. It goes out to an enormous range. It freezes everything in place, which denies them their action. if they want to be able to move. Until they spend their action, they are not moving, which means this guarantees you're functionally getting a dash out of it. This functionally guarantees that they are not spending an action kicking the shit out of you if they fail this. And even if they pass this, they're still taking a D8.5 cold damage. That is value versus for a second level spell, whereas Ray of Frost, sometimes, and when I say sometimes, most of the time, the slow just never matters. And you're just like, this was a worth Firebolt. I'm so upset I took this.
This is a second level spell though, where that is a cantrip. All right.
Yeah, but they're not comparable. This is so much better across every possible way to Ray of Frost.
All right. Okay.
The difference between having a speed and setting it to 0 is big. The difference between guaranteeing actions being eaten and not is big. The difference between affecting multiple creatures in a gigantic area, like that's it. So many more things.
Yeah.
Like even if you compare it to Burning Hands, right, which is 3d6 damage, you go to 46, you might be like, well, that's going to outdamage it. It's hitting way less than half the area and doesn't come with the action eating portion of it. There aren't second level spells that do damage that I'm really happy with. There aren't second level damaging spells where I'm like, this I just want to take because it does the most damage for its level. That comes with Fireball and that comes with Burning Hands. Ryan's Blinding Lights to me is the middle ground where it is a meaningful damage upside, but everything else it does, as far as the wider area and as far as the action eating like speed reduction to 0, that is powerful and meaningful. And it's something that, like, I think even in the mid tiers, I think there'll be times where like 7th or 8th level, you'll be like, oh yeah, they're all in that, they're like coming into this cone with me. Great, Ryan's Blinding Ice. Let's just do that. And you'll be happy with it.
Sure. All right. Well, you mentioned Scorching Ray. That made my list. That was my damage.
It was close
spell.
for me, but it didn't quite eke it out.
Yeah, that's all the same reasons I like Magic Missile, except of course it's not a guaranteed hit, but you do get to choose where your Scorching Rays go. So yeah, you can hit somebody big time, or you can hit 3 creatures with little things. I like that kind of versatility.
Agreed. And this, to me, I think, like, Scorching Ray is a spell that exists and is very good at 3rd and 4th level, and then you stop casting it the moment you get 5th level, just because you want to be doing other bigger, better damage things when you want to be doing damage things. But at 3rd and 4th level, it is kind of the best you get. There are some nifty little things and builds you can do with it. So, if you really want to be a wizard with Hex, you can Hex something that each of those is doing 3d6 damage. Then you can start upcasting it, and you're doing like 3 instances of 3d6 damage, 40 instances of 3d6 damage, 5 instances of 3d6 damage, and those numbers just keep like going upwards as different interesting little builds kind of could come combined together. It's not revolutionary, nor is it better than Blaster, like Eldritch Blast Locks or Eldritch Blast Sorcerers or anything like that, but it's nifty. And if you like nifty little off-brand things like I do, if you want to try and build around something niche, like you really want to be the attack-based wizard, because there's like 6 attack spells in the game outside of cantrips, Scorching Ray is a cool direction to go. And even if you're not that, even if you're just like, hey, I want a new damage spell, I don't like any of my first level damage spells, this one's great. It's perfectly fine.
All right. How many you got left?
I got 1 left.
Just 1? Let's see. I wonder if it's the same one I've got.
Could be. I do have Flaming Sphere on my list. This was a really hard decision, not because I was like, oh wow, this is so good, how can I not include it? It's just there was nothing else. I looked at these, I got through my top 4, I got through my top 3 really, and I was like, God, what else do I put on here? And Flaming Sphere went out because it's mediocre, and that's better than I can say for most of the 2nd level wizard spells.
Well, I'm checking something right quick. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, were you finished talking about Flaming Sphere?
I barely got into it.
All right.
It's a giant. Flaming Sphere is just, it's 2d6 in an area, and if you want 2d6, 5 feet, you put it in a space. It's like a cloud of daggers you can scoot around. Right. That makes it a lot better than cloud of daggers.
Sure.
It compares pretty favorably to like the cleric weapon, spiritual weapon. But this one takes your concentration, spiritual weapon doesn't. That's kind of a big sad. I don't know.
It's like a fireball Roomba.
Yeah, basically. You can like, it has a lot of weird text of like, you can put it over pits and stuff. Just let it be hovering. I don't know why it has to have it sinks down. You should just be able to send it around where you want. I think it's stupid that you can't. But in any case, it being a little floaty ball of fire for what it does. This is just a fine bonus action thing. You'll cast this at 3rd or 4th level. Anything past that, you have better things to concentrate on than this. Like, even at 2nd level, or even at 3rd level, I'm like, concentration's kind of iffy. There's better 1st level and 2nd level spells. You probably, I don't know, better. This did make the list. But there aren't many other things you're concentrating on at this level, but at the 3rd level, there definitely is. So, like, Yeah, I think you'll probably be casting this again for around 3rd and 4th level. You'll get some like, oh, okay, 2d6 bonus damage here, 2d6 bonus damage here. If you ever get 3 instances of the damage happening, you're really happy with it because then you've done Flaming Sphere, or Scorching Ray, but more consistently because they are making saves and taking half damage on worst case scenarios. So like you'll have some reason to like. You'll have good reason and get good damage out of this. You'll get utility out of this. If you're not using your bonus action, this is a great thing to be doing with your bonus action. It just isn't something you're going to keep up with as the game goes on.
Okay, now I interrupted you before because I had to go double check my last pick because I was shocked that it didn't make your list. Misty Step.
Misty Step is neat. I love Misty Step. It
Yeah,
has a really warm special place in my heart. I think it's a very fun spell. It is an ass spell. At 2nd level specifically, whenever you get Misty Step, you're never casting it. It is not worth a 2nd level spell slot whenever all you have is 2nd level spell slots. And I don't want to be out here being like, oh, you just hit 3rd level, take Misty Step, because it's not necessarily going to be the best case scenario. Misty Step is a spell that really starts to shine, I think, at like 9th and 10th level. Whenever you have more flexibility and don't necessarily care what you're investing your lower tier slots in, Misty Step is very good because it is very quick, it's cheap, it's efficient, it gives you a bonus action to just get where you want to be. It is the lowest tier of teleportation. I don't think a 30-foot teleport is so game-changing at 3rd and 4th level that it justifies it, especially, it might eke out over Flaming Sphere, honestly. It might be better than this even at this tier, but like, it is close enough that I wasn't super happy putting it on my list. And again, I don't want to, it's going to be a spell that will be literally never cast on a lot of players' sheets, especially if they're newer, especially if they don't necessarily, if they're playing conservatively with their spell slots. It feels impossible to use. It feels impossible to justify whenever a move can often do what it does. And for that reason, I don't think it should necessarily find a home on your sheet this early, like at 3rd or 4th level. Again, once you're in the mid tiers and you're like, oh, I got extra spell slots to spare, Misty Step, get in here. It's exceptional. I think it's one of the better 2nd level spells the higher you get. I just don't think there's enough of a window to actually use it and get mileage out of it that make you go, I'm so happy I had this at 3rd and 4th level.
I don't know. I mean, the infiltration. This makes so many things more accessible that weren't before.
Yeah, there are some. So like, Misty Step is close-ish to flight. It's close-ish to like just teleporting inside a window is pretty good. 30 feet is a very large distance whenever it comes to world exploration. You do have to see where you're going, which makes
Yeah.
infiltration a lot worse. But if you're like going into a window or something like that, it is very good. How much better is it than some Pythons? I don't know. The answer to that question, I think, is not that much better. There'll be times where you need it to be instantaneous. This will be a tool that you can leverage to do that. It will have some applications. I'm not saying like it's unusable. I just think that for the majority of low tier play, you don't necessarily need this to do what it's doing. I think like a character with a fly speed will often be a lot better than this, and that'll have happened since 1st level. I think even like familiars, even summon beasts or anything like that just have speeds to get the spaces you need to get to. That'll often be enough for whatever task you need them to do. Like especially if you're like just going and unlocking a door or something, they can go around that way and not have that much of an issue.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
If your familiar can see where you intend to go, can you Misty Step there?
I would say no, because it says you can see, and you can see through you're seeing through your familiar senses, but it's not you physically seeing it. It's the familiar seeing it and you getting it in your brain. So it's not the same as seeing. It's like would you say you're seeing the exact set of a movie whenever you're viewing it through a television? Like, you're not actually seeing it, you're watching it, which is, you're going to get into some weird nomenclature, but like, could you Misty Step to a set of a television that's within 30 feet of you if you're watching it via camera? I think the answer is no. I don't think that makes any sense, which is why I would rule the same way for familiars. But that's definitely something that's going to vary game to game.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for argument there.
Agreed.
In which case, Misty Step would be even better.
That's true. Yeah. I probably should have put this on my list instead of Flaming Sphere. I don't think it is mandatory. And again, especially if you're at a lower tier play, if you're newer to the game, if you're like, oh, this is my first wizard ever, what do I take? I would probably point you away from Misty Step for a couple levels. Just because your 2nd level slots are very important in the early tier, and what you're casting them on matters a lot and tends to have a very big impact. Like, I don't think the Misty Step has a bigger impact than like a suggestion would. Definitely has a lower impact than invisibility. I even think like Rhyme's Binding Ice will have a large impact in a fight that really matters, and Misty Step is often going to be a free disengage in combat, and that's not good enough for a second level spell slot.
Oh no, I wasn't thinking about it for combat use, but I mean, it has applications there as well.
Out of combat is definitely where it shines in the earlier tiers. I still don't think it's so much better that it's worth taking. It's still like even think about like you're out of combat, you're going to infiltrate a castle, you have 2 second level spell slots, and you know there's going to be fights in there. Do you really want to spend one of them just getting up there whenever Rope can do? Do you really want to spend that getting up there whenever there are cheaper resources that maybe get you that distance? I don't know. Their answer is sometimes maybe, but not always.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I do love Misty Step though.
Yeah. All right. Let me double check my list to make sure we covered all the hold person, visibility, scorching ray. Okay, and you got all yours covered?
All my tops. I got one bad one left.
All right. What's your bad one?
Arcanist's Magic Aura.
I forgot what that does, but it's
exactly.
not the one I picked. Yeah. Oh wait. Oh, I do remember what that does. That was
previously known as Nistel's Magic Aura, before they made it setting agnostic.
That one we were talking about something else. Oh, yeah, we were talking about distort value, and I was saying this one would be better than that as far as lying about something's worth.
True.
But yeah, still not amazing. What
if we're comparing it to what we both agreed was the worst first level spell in the game, maybe it's not that good of a spell. You put an illusion on a thing that makes it so divination reveals false information about it. It can be a creature, so like the idea is you either give it a false aura that changes how it appears by like detect magics and stuff by changing the type of magic, or like you can make it appear magical if it's not magical, or if it's magical you make it appear non-magical. Alternatively, you can mask a thing, so like things don't detect creature types and other magical effects that care about alignment and stuff. Here's where I'm at with this spell. If Arcanist's Magic Aura ever matters, it cannot be a spell you're spending spell slots on. If it ever does require your spell slots, I want out. I don't want to be playing at that table. Holy shit, does that sound miserable. Like, player tools so at its best, this is a way that the players can circumnavigate detection when it's known. But to have to invest in a second level spell slot to do that is not a fun time. To go, great, the detection sphere won't notice my familiar because I spent a second level spell slot making it not appear as Fey. Not here for that. Alternatively, it's something that your DM uses that makes your paladins and your wizards and everyone that's trying to detect things feel like they're being lied to, because they go, all right, I'll divine sense because I'm worried there are some undead nearby, and the DM will be like, it's not undead. It's not undead. And then they walk past it, they turn around, the gas tries to bite their neck off because I hit it in a Nistel's Magic Aura. Got ya. No. That is exactly zero fun. That's just being an asshole. Like there's so few ways to make this effect feel fair from a DM side that I think it actively hurts the game. And that's why I don't think it should exist. And that's why it's the worst second level spell in the game to me.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably the worst. It's certainly a lot more fun to talk about why it's bad than my pick. I chose Dark Vision.
Dark Vision's ass. Yeah, that smells awful, but it's just because everyone already has it.
Yeah, exactly. Or they have a one copper piece torch.
Yeah, exactly. I was not kind to that spell in my spell review either. But yeah, it is Dark Vision. I think Dark Vision is as bad as Arcanist's Magic Aura, but not as bad for the game as Arcanist's Magic Aura is for making people feel like they've been cheated, making people feel like their DM's just trying to get them. And we need less adversarial relationships with our DMs. But yeah, Dark Vision is garbage. Don't take it. You don't need it. A torch will suffice. And if you really need to see in the dark, one of your Dark Vision friends will be able to do it for you. So, don't.
Yeah. I should have picked something we could talk more about, but yeah, there's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was it. That was our. Oh wait, yes. That was our top 5 picks for second level wizard spells. Join us in the future for level 3. That should be exciting.
If you have second level wizard spells that you think deserve to make the lists that we didn't talk about, comment them below. What do you think are the best second level wizard spells that exist? I think invisibility is it, but you can tell me I'm wrong. You could also say like, yeah, Misty Step actually is baller, Sam, and you're just like, even at second level, you should be taking this. hit me up with it. I want to see.
All right. Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you in the future. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.